Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll commence our meeting. Call on the Mayor's, on the Chief Executive Officer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All council meetings are filmed with both video and audio being recorded. Video is focused on the area from in around Mr. Bird through to Councillor Pearce. However, audio from the entire room is captured. While speaking during question time or any time, you consent to your voice and any comments you make being recorded. In common with all narrative during council meetings, verbal responses to congratulations, obituaries and question time will not be recorded in the written minutes. The reason, of course, behind recording council meetings is to strive to do what we try and do every day throughout our organisation, which is to improve transparency to our ratepayers. The full meeting of council is being streamed live on Alpine Shire Council's YouTube channel and is also available in archived format immediately after this council meeting.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. We'll move to the acknowledgement of traditional custodians and recognition of all people.
The Alpine Shire Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we are now on. We also acknowledge those people who have contributed to the rich fabric of our community and strive to make wise decisions that will improve the quality of life for all.
Thank you. My apologies. I want to welcome you all this evening. Thank you, sir. Could I just ensure that mobile phones and devices are turned off or on silent, please? Item 3, confirmation of minutes, the ordinary council meeting M13, 6th of December 2016.
So moved.
Councillor Roper. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, carried. And the 3.2 special council meeting.
So moved.
Councillor Roper. Seconder, please.
Yep.
Councillor Forsyth. Apologies. Sorry? Oh, vote. Yeah. All those in favour of 3.2? That's carried. Apologies, be nil. Obituaries and congratulations, item 5. Councillor Nicholas.
I'd like to bring recognition to and congratulate the recipients of Australia Day Honours from the Alpine Shire. Judith Brewer, an AO, Malcolm Milne, an OAM, and Valerie and George McPherson, both an OAM. And also congratulate all the Alpine Shire residents who received honours through the Alpine Shire.
Councillor Peeble.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And I'd also like to congratulate the Australia Day winners and to Alan Marson for his AO, for his work in the ski industry, and also just thank the community for all the applications that we received and to continue that good work for next year. Thank you.
Councillor Roper.
Alpine Shire recently hosted the Herald Sun Joko Tour. I'd like to congratulate the Township of Myrtleford, who were called out on short notice to line the streets of Myrtleford and did a terrific job, and also the community for being receptive to having the start of Mount Beauty last Friday, which was a huge fillip, I think, and a huge spectacle realistically.
Councillor Forsyth.
Thank you. Following on from Councillors Keeble and Nicholas, I think it's also worthwhile to congratulate all of the people behind the scenes on the Australia Day. Various Rotary clubs and other community clubs that actually put together the functions. So I think they deserve a vote of thanks as well.
Including our staff who've got our parks and gardens in such good condition. Councillor Epstein.
I endorse all the previous congratulations, and on a sad note I'd like to offer condolences to Graham Gales, who's the Deputy Controller of the Bright SES, on the sudden loss of his sister accidentally in Wangaratta. Tragic circumstances, so our condolences.
Mr Mayor, if I may quickly mention that the Australian Women's Football League, just the success of the opening round, and especially for all the girls in the Shire that are playing football at the moment, who can look forward to a fantastic future down the track. So, thank you.
Item 7, declaration by councillors of conflict of interest. That's item 6. Yeah, sorry. Any conflict of interest? Nil? Item 7 is, pardon me, question time. Have some questions on notice. I just made some comment at the last council meeting in relation to question time, and just to clarify a little bit of that and to give a little bit more meaning around that. It's the Mayor who controls the meeting and will control the questions that are put to council. In consultation with my councillors, my fellow councillors, I've resolved that in the future there will be 2 questions per agenda item. They can be written or from the floor, and they will relate to the items that are on the agenda. Any other questions could be probably related to an officer. So that will give some more clarity around our procedures. But I think the important thing is that it's the Mayor who controls question time and the questions that are asked. However, there are some questions that I will allow this evening, and Mr Littlechild has put 4 questions forward. Number 1, the Mayor's December comments regarding intended change to the standing orders for questions on notice. Have they been ratified by an amendment, and when did that occur? Not required. That's my meeting, and I'll take questions as I please. Question 2, in answering a question on notice last year, Council indicated that it would place the public document, the register of interest, on the Alpine Shire website. Why has this not occurred, Mr CEO?
Yeah. Mr Mayor, I was down in the office last week, but I have asked my EA to confirm that that's what we committed to doing, and if that's the case, that's what we will do.
Thank you. Question 3, does Council have a publicly stated policy on bullying in the workplace, and is this document available for public perusal? This question has been asked previously, and I understand that it is an internal document.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, we have a range of documents to cover any sort of bullying, harassment, equal employment opportunity in the workplace, consistent with every other council, and we have a range of documents on that front. We don't tend to provide documents externally. However, if the questioner would like to catch up with me and clarify some more detail as to why he'd like it, I'd be more than comfortable to talk about that.
Thank you. On question 4, over 250 Myrtleford residents signed a petition over dog park, and Bright residents have been attempting to establish a similar park in an area near the Arboretum. Volunteers have offered to keep these areas clean and sanitary condition. Given the relatively low cost of minimal fencing and interpersonal value of this type of community resource, why are their requests being denied? The one, I've never received a request to my knowledge for a dog park in the Arboretum. The question of the one in Bright has been dealt with by council.
In Myrtleford.
Oh, sorry, in Myrtleford has been dealt with by council, and the reasons for that decision have been given at that appropriate council meeting. And there has been no further approach to council from the proponent of that petition, and also there is a dog park available on the McNamara Oval. Thank you for your questions, Mr. Littlechop. A question from Paula Hall, and I just note that she is present. I don't know whether it's my email or what, Ms. Hall, but I don't exactly know what the question is. I have a subject, planning permits that have conditions that Shire will not enforce. I think you've had a conversation with the CEO in relation to this, and he might be able to add a little bit more to get that question teased out a bit.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think as the correspondence says, I'm not sure what the exact question is. Mr. Mayor, do you want to seek some clarification? Or?
Ms. Hall, would you care to clarify the question?
Okay, Paula Hall. This is a personal question, because of planning permits who list conditions that the Shire does not enforce. And my question, of course, is that by the Act, the council is responsible for making sure that they are the ones that enforce any conditions that are not met on any planning permits. And the council does not do this. They don't seek it, and I was told that the reason that they don't is because it would cost too much and it's not in their budget, so that it has to be the goodwill of the people who have the permit, whether or not they do what they're supposed to do or not. So my question is, why bother with having permits? It just seems to me it's a revenue collection instead of protection of assets of people's
We'll
property.
stick to the questions. Thank you.
And so I think that it's very important.
So I can probably address, I'm hearing a few questions there. I guess the first one is why have a permit, and it's based on the view that most people are fundamentally honest. The same way as having a speed limit where a police officer doesn't catch you for speeding every second that you go over the limit, but most people recognise where there is a restraint. They respond to that restraint as the good, decent people that most people are. The second question I hear is, if we issue 200 permits a year, maybe with 50 conditions on every permit across 20 years, why don't we exhaustively look through those 200,000 or 300,000 conditions on an annualised basis? And I think just by virtue of that, it's just not a feasible task for any entity to do. And then the third question, I think you raised this, where we do become aware of breaches, why we don't prosecute in every single circumstance. And I think my conversation with you was that we have prosecuted on circumstances, but we don't, we would, for example, be it relating to a planning permit, a building permit, or a parking infringement, we wouldn't spend $50,000, $60,000 or $70,000 of ratepayers' money if it was in the case of a parking permit, recouping maybe a $100 debt, if that makes sense. So there is always a question of what action achieves the best outcome, and oftentimes we find the best outcome is achieved through conversation rather than enforcement. So that's our approach.
I know that I'm not allowed to have a conversation with it. There are the 173s that the council does put into place for conditions that are regulated by VCAT, and it is up to the Shire to enforce, and those are not kept
in mind and in control. They don't have any way that you have gone back and checked and make sure. And I think that this is unfair. If we're paying all this money for our permits, and there's the reason that you have given conditions, then when you are made aware of them, to expect that the goodwill is going to have the person change, especially when there's been a history of lack of attending to and following through with other conditions in many other permits as well.
Thank you, Ms. Hall.
I think, Mr. Mayor, this relates to an individual instance, and there was 2 issues that I committed to get back to Ms. Hall on to see if they can be remedied. And I've had an update, which I'm not going to I don't think now's the appropriate time to broadcast it, but I actually feel that the issues can be remedied.
Yes, I think a meeting between yourself and Ms. Hall would be appropriate. Thank you. Are there questions from the floor? Sir, at the back.
David Priestley, resident in Bright. There was an interesting camping ground last night occupied by a group called the Gypsy Kings, which is a motorcycle group. I understand, according to the 3 police cars that were travelling with them, that the Shire had given permission for an illegal camping ground to be used without toilet facilities or anything else, and I just wondered why.
Mr. CEO, I'm unaware of that one.
No, even though it is a question from the floor, I am aware of it. I guess I am surprised. I'm curious as to where the source is that we gave them permission to camp. Because I do see an email first thing this morning from the person in charge of that area to the local police sergeant that expresses our concern at them camping in that area when we do so much to prohibit illegal camping. So I think perhaps the Bush Telegraph in relation to us giving permission is incorrect, and I can give Mr. Priestley assurances that we actually have written, as soon as we became aware of it, to the police, outlining our concerns, and I'm probably not worth the public's time going through the detail of those concerns, but we talk about our dissatisfaction at this matter.
Thank you. My apologies for Mr. Butler had a question. I apologise, sir. If I could paraphrase that, if you don't mind, because there is some length in it, and it really deals with the shortage of parking close to the Bright Medical Centre, and the feasibility of the adjacent empty block as an official car park with rows of spaces allocated for medical patient use, and the difficulty for elderly or infirmed or incapacitated users of the medical centre due to a shortage of street parking, and the difficulty of crossing Gavin Street or walking up the steep slope from Howard Park, and that's particularly when special events in the vicinity involve weekends or Saturday morning. And then there's a further background on that, and I think Mr. Bird may have some response for you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. G'day, Derek. Do you want me out there? No, you're right. So, Derek, thank you for your question. So this follows up a conversation we had last year, I remember, in relation to this, and my recollection was that you were going to inquire about car parking at the back of the Bright Medical Centre. I hadn't heard what the outcome of the discussions were, but I suspect they weren't too favourable from your question here. So there's a few parts. So first, because I hadn't heard back, we hadn't progressed that further. We have recently looked at putting another short-timed car park, so a 10-minute car park on Gavin Street in the vicinity of the Bendigo Bank, and at that time we looked at the distribution of the 10-minute car parks along Gavin Street, which there's 2 up near the post office, and there's several near the Business Information Centre as well. So there's a number in the vicinity of the Bright Medical Centre. So we believe that's appropriate. However, your point here about the adjacent empty block, so this is where I look a little bit red-faced, where the CEO in the past has asked me to contact that landowner and make this very inquiry. And when I received your question, I intended to make that phone call before this meeting, but I still have not done that. So it's a very good question, and one which I need to follow up with that landowner, so thank you. Another part to it is that we may have raised with yourself, we've raised with a number of other community members as well, the need for a car parking plan or a traffic management plan within Bright, and our intention is to do that next financial year subject to Council's approval, and we would increase our car parking. So at this stage that we're looking at the Burke Street, the reconfiguration of the Burke Street car park. There looks to be some opportunity there, but we need to look at across the whole Bright town centre, not just in isolated pieces. I think does that answer all your questions?
Well, it tells us, it replies to the specific. Derek Butler from the Brighton District Ratepayers Association. Does answer to some extent the questions. I'm hearing that you're going to follow up one of them, which is the availability of the block.
Yep.
But I don't suppose we hold out a lot of hope for that, but we should try.
Definitely.
The other comment I would make is that you've probably covered background of where we're at with you so far.
Yep.
I'm not sure about the relevance of the short-term parking. There's short-term parking outside the information centre,
yep.
But short-term would only be for dropping off, because I don't think we often
That's right.
have appointments that
correct.
last a short term, sadly. So I think that's pretty much covered, but we've got some information to work with you on going forward.
Nice, thanks, Derek.
Thank you, Mr. Butler, and I'm sure Mr. Bird will be in contact with you in relation to that other matter. I'll take further questions from the floor. There are none. Thank you. We'll move on. Presentation of reports by officers. Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Barry. Contracts approved by the CEO. Our recommendation that the contracts approved by the CEO be noted.
Here.
Councillor Roper and Councillor Keeble, thank you. No comment?
No comments.
All those in favour? Thank you. Quarterly report 8.1.2, council plan.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. So the council plan is presented at report 8.1.2. This is the quarterly report is something that we present to council every quarter, and as I have said for many quarters, as you know, we have digital dashboarding across a number of our business units, and when we get it across all of our business units, it will mean that this council report is significantly less expensive to prepare and hopefully even more beneficial.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Yep. Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Keeble. Councillor Nicholas.
No comment.
No comment. Councillor Keeble.
The council plan, the next 4-year one, will start in earnest, or it already has started, but we'll have that done by mid-year. And the last 4 years has been a good roadmap, and I'm looking forward to the next 4-year one. That's probably a little bit thinner and more succinct, I guess. That's what we're looking at. Thank you.
Any further comment? All those in favour? Oh, sorry.
I'm in favour.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Roper.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr.
I was just going to say that people should take the time to read the performance report on these things because a bit of work goes into doing these quarterly updates. So those that are interested should actually have a look.
Yep, thank you. So we'll take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. And now that we've taken a vote, I can make a comment. And this prosperous economy, employment and investment section, the Spartan Trifecta event delivered the weekend 26-27 November last year. A total of 3,400 event registrations received, with another 250 occurring on the event weekend. An estimated economic value of this event for the Alpine Shire is $2.3 million, which is good money for our shire, and I say we are the envy of many other shires, and well done to our staff. Um, 8.1.3, the Audit Committee meeting minutes, September and December 2016.
Mr. Mayor, as you're aware, we have a very high functioning audit committee, and the minutes of the last two meetings of that audit committee are presented at this agenda item. The reason there are two minutes that are presented is because of the council elections, and also presented in conjunction with that is the confidential health and safety report with the recommendation that all three documents be adopted.
You mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Knapstein. Councillor Roper. Yes. Any comment? Councillor Roper.
No, the audit committee's got some high performing. Yes, I do. Sorry, yes, I do have a comment. Sorry.
Listening.
Has some high performing individuals on it, which is good to see, and it is an interesting committee to be involved in.
Thank you. Any further comment? None. All those in favour? Carried. Item 8.2.1, Director of Assets, Mr. Bird. Contract 16081001 Civil Works.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report relates to the award of a contract for the Civil Works at Pioneer Park as part of the Alpine Events Park project. It includes the delivery of underground infrastructure, internal trails, roads and parking. The tender is advertised in the Alpine Observer and Board of Mail on 14th December and on Tenders.net and Council's websites. 23 tenders were downloaded, 23 documentation of tender briefs were downloaded, 3 submissions were received, and it's important to note that the Alpine Shire is the appointed committee of management over this parcel land where the work will take place in Pioneer Park, and is currently seeking approval from DELP as the Crown Land Manager prior to civil works commencing. So the tenders were assessed in accordance with their with the selection criteria, and it's recommended that Council award the contract to North East Civil Construction for the lump sum of $463,307 plus GST. Now, I'd also like to add on to the recommendation, as you see up on the screen there, subject to Crown Land Manager consent, which we expect to have in the next 24 days.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Councillor Roper and Councillor Pearce. Councillor Roper.
Looking forward to getting the appropriate response from the Crown Land Manager so we can start the project.
Councillor Pearce.
Yeah, just like to point out that I have worked for the organisation, and but I don't have any weighting, influence in the weighting or influence with this decision. But what I do see is a local company that's worked very hard over the last number of years, getting the business going and doing a good job as they go. And I think it's great that a local company's working hard on some of our biggest projects for a long time.
Councillor Keeble?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Also, just like to point out with this project, it's one of the stages in this overall project. Just to remind everyone that funding was from both the Alpine Shire and from the Commonwealth, and it's been a great initiative from both to get up and running. So it is a major events park. So just to re-note that the funding is from different streams.
Thank you.
And we acknowledge that.
Any further comment?
Look, I've just got to add,
All right.
not forgetting our staff, who would like all of our projects of late have just done an amazing effort working back here in the office and driving the projects in the early to the end of the stages.
Thank you. I'll take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Um, 8.2.2 petition Alpine Better Places. Bright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is to inform Council and provide a response to petition tabled at the December 2016 Council meeting in relation to the proposed works to be undertaken in the Mafeking Square precinct as part of the Alpine Better Places project. So you may recall that a petition was tabled at that, just prior to that meeting, and at that meeting the proponent of the petition and a number of other signatories attended the meeting and were given the opportunity to present their concerns in relation to the proposed works, and there was, I guess, quite a lot of discussion back and forth, and this was in addition to an extensive consultation that Council had taken on this project. So I guess the project really commenced back in 2001, and in recent years, so going back to March 2015, there was consultation with the community June 2015, November, December, and then more again in February 2016. So there's been quite an extensive consultation throughout it. So Council took on board the concerns raised by the proponent of the petition and the other signatories at the meeting, took into account the consultation that had been undertaken and the feedback throughout that consultation, and also the fact that they'd recently received $500,000 funding from the state government for the project, with the conclusion being that Council awarded the contract for the proposed works, which have recently commenced in Mafeking Square. So.
Thank you, Councillor Keeble. Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Keeble?
No comment.
Okay. Councillor Nicholas?
I'd just like to confirm that Council did think long and hard about the Mafeking Square project, and that the concerns raised by those at the meeting and by the petition were had been or will be addressed by the way Council offices and the project was being run, and that there's recognition of the concern around business continuity, etc., while there's major roadworks going on in a town, but the final outcome will be a much improved town centre, and that's going to be great to have.
Thank you. Any further comment? No. Take it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Item 9, assemblies of councils.
So noted.
Councillor Roper. Councillor Nicholas. Comment? No. All those in favour? Carried. Presentation of reports by delegates. There are none. Attachments, there are nil. General business. From my left, Councillor Pearce.
No general business, thanks, Mayor.
Councillor Nicholas.
I just wanted to echo really Tony's statement, sorry, to Councillor Keeble's statements from before about the council plan being prepared in this next few months, and what an important document it will be for the next 4 years.
Councillor Roper.
I've no general business at this point.
Thank you. Councillor Forsyth.
Just a comment to congratulate council officers on the clean-up of the Great Alpine Road between here and Myrtleford. And the question, I suppose, is the grassed area on the northern side of Myrtleford, past our depot, past the pondage out there. The grass is up to about your neck at the moment. I'm not sure whether that's a council thing or a Vic Roads thing, but I know we do mow it right up until a good point.
See you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm just trying to geographically place myself. When you say our depot, do you mean the northeast?
No,
I think Mr. Bird has
north of
some further information.
So near the northeast water sewage ponds, yes?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you for the feedback. I will pass it on and we'll get on to it. Thank you.
It's not Vic Roads Road?
Yes.
But we mow the grass.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. No further business?
I'm just pleased to see that Mafeking Square is moving and looks like it will be ready for Anzac Day. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Councillor Roper. Yep.
I have got one. I'd like to actually thank the responsiveness of the Alpine Shire staff. There was a funeral held in one of our parks at Toowoomba recently. A community member approached the Parks and Gardens and let them know that there was a funeral being held, and Parks and Gardens, even though it wasn't in the mowing schedule, made sure that the area in question was in tip-top condition. So, you know, that you can't ask for much better customer service than that, I don't think.
No, exactly. And our staff are doing a wonderful job. I received complaints from members of the public that our staff are out there mowing grass at 7:15 in the morning.
Yes.
They start work at 7 o'clock, and how good is that? They're out there on the job 15 minutes later. So I was more than pleased to stand up for our staff.
Yeah, I think you're talking about an actual complaint you received, Mr. Mayor. Yes.
It was. Yes.
And that we were making noise too early in the morning.
Item 12, motions for which notice has been previously given. There are nil. Reception and reading of petitions. 13.1.1. A petition in relation to the speed limit of Bay Creek Lane and Red Bank Mullagong Road.
Yes, so Mr. Mayor, as is our usual process, we'll receive this petition today and we'll prepare a response for the next council meeting for council's consideration in accordance with our local law.
Right, thank you. Documents for sealing. Recommendation: following documents be signed and sealed. Section 173 agreement. Councillor Nicholas.
Okay, second.
Councillor Keeble. Thank you. I don't think we need to vote on that, do we? Yes, we do. We do. And the second part of that is road resealing, spray seal contract in favour of Roads Corporation, trading as Spray Line. All those in favour? Carried. There being no further business, declare the meeting closed at 7:40 p.m. We do have a special council meeting now. It is in.
I think what's happening is it's probably buffering the old recording and holding it and finishing it, so we'll start until so like it's it's finalising the old recording. Okay, they're away. Yeah.
Thank you. We've caught up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Perhaps it's worth my while explaining that the reason we have a special council meeting for councillors to adopt the code of conduct is that is something that's required by legislation as a result of some reasonably recent legislative amendments. Recording and live streaming of council meetings. All council meetings are filmed. both video and audio are being recorded. Video is focused on this area of the room, however audio from the entire room is captured. By speaking during question time or at any time during the meeting, you consent to your voice and any comments you make being recorded. In common with all narrative during council meetings, verbal responses to congratulations, obituaries and question times will not be recorded in the written minutes. The reason behind recording council meetings is to hold us more accountable and improve transparency of council's decision making to our community. Full council meeting is being currently streamed live on council's YouTube channel, which is Alpine Shire Council, available at youtube.com. And in addition, a recording of the meeting will be available immediately following on from the meeting.
Thank you. Acknowledgement of traditional custodians.
The Alpine Shire Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we're now on. We also acknowledge those people who have contributed to the rich fabric of our community and strive to make wise decisions that will improve the quality of life for all.
Thank you. Apologies, there are nil. Declarations by councillors of conflict of interest. There are nil. Presentation of reports by officers. Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Barry. Councillor Code of Conduct.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Councillor Code of Conduct is, of course, appended to your meeting agenda. We have consulted with councillors in the preparation of this Code of Conduct, and it is put forward with the recommendation that number 1, Council adopt the Councillor Code of Conduct, version 5, noting that no amendments have been made as part of this review. The Council sign and seal the Councillor Code of Conduct at the appropriate stage of the meeting, and the Council ensure that all councillors sign the declaration within 1 month of its adoption, stating that they will abide by the Councillor Code of Conduct.
Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Knapstein. Seconder. Councillor Pearce.
No.
No.
Did you second on pointing out
Oh, right. Councillor Nicholas. Thank you. Any comment? Councillor Knapstein? No. Councillor Nicholas? Anyone else? No, it's pretty straightforward. All those in favour? It is carried. Yeah. Documents for sealing, the Councillor Code of Conduct version 5. Being no further business, the meeting is closed at 7:45. Oh, sorry. Did you not get Councillor? Councillor Knapstein and Councillor Nicholas.
Just, Mr. Mayor, for the point of clarity, I think Mr. Bird was seeking to understand if we needed to move the documents for sealing under item 6, but referring back, Council has already resolved under item 5.1.1 to seal the Code of Conduct, and therefore my advice is that we don't need a further motion in that regard. And I don't believe there was a further motion moved and seconded.
No, there wasn't.
No, there wasn't. Yep. Is that acceptable, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, that is.
Yeah, thank you.
That's correct. So we'll, the meeting's closed at 7:46. Thank you very much for those people who attended, and safe journeys home. Yeah, hope you haven't had too much rain.